Let me see. Where is the Facebook? There we are. So weird how this does this. Did y'all ever get the little sleeper thing I sent?
Which
I sent you a love t-shirt.
Oh yeah, I told you about that. Yeah, we definitely did it. We thought it was really cool too.
But the love, what did it say? I don't know what it said. I don't know.
Yeah, no, we definitely did. I thought I responded. My fault.
You may have, and I may forget, that. There we go. Okay.
And I'm just now seeing the thing you put up about the Louisville police major.
Oh, but to me, that girl right there, she's the truth. She
But
she says everything I love her.
but people aren't racist though. But
Right.
they're
So
not racist.
let's I guess just start off with I feel like shit. I am trying to be somewhat positive and you try, but like though this week I feel like shit. And it's interesting. I went on a hike um and I didn't have my phone, and I got a text because usually when stuff happens, I didn't carry my phone. And I get this text message and it says, we should have known they're not going to take care or do right or something like that, it said. And I just wrote back like, not even really knowing what was wrong, but because there's always something. And then I got home and I saw everything, and my head, I swear the back of my head just started hurting. And I've had a headache so badly that I called my doctor today. And sometimes I get like migraines, but so badly since that day, and what makes me mad about myself is it's not that I was at all surprised. It's not that I ever thought for a moment, like your post said, I never thought that they were going to convict those officers. It was very clear from the time they took and all we've done. But I don't know what it is. It's like, even though I'm not surprised, it's like when you have somebody who's on life support, even when they die, it hurts.
I'll tell you what it is, or at least what it is for me, right?
Yeah.
As fucked up as this sounds, I would rather them have done nothing.
Yeah.
And just let everybody go. If you're gonna, because we know that you weren't going to do right by Breonna Taylor. Which, by the way, if everyone hasn't figured out, we're talking about Breonna Taylor.
Oh, yeah, that's also, yeah.
Because of course we're talking about Breonna Taylor. But if they would have done absolutely nothing, our minds would have been able to wrap around it because that's what we're used to. We're used to people being put in the spotlight for doing something wrong and then just going free because that's,
Because they're cops.
like
It's
as fucked up as it is, it's the norm. But it's the fact that they decided to charge the officer, one of the officers, just one of them, for something completely unrelated to actually murdering somebody. So it's kind of like, all right, not only are we not going to punish him, or at least attempt to punish him for murder, but we're going to try and penalize him for the auxiliary shit around the murder. So yeah, you know what, man? You could have actually endangered them people next door. We got to tap you on the wrist for that. Oh, you killed somebody in here? Oh, that doesn't matter. You could have maybe hurt somebody next door. That's basically what they did. And it's just like, it was an extra slap in the face because, like I said, we're used to nothing. But it's the fact that you decided to even take this step is just a complete slap in the face of, so this is your idea of justice? That the neighbor next door mighta, coulda, maybe have gotten hurt. Never mind the person that's dead in here.
And again, property. Property. It's like you hurt, there were gun holes in the neighbor's door. So again, property. is more valuable than a Black life. So the insult is real. The insult is real.
You mentioned the post because I put it on my blog. I put it on your blog, where like I've been feeling this way for a while, but it was extra doom and gloom this week, almost like where I was just like, you know what, fuck blogging. I'm done. Like I'm done. I don't feel like doing this anymore. Fuck it, right? But it was mostly because it's like it was that compounded with the fact that there's a girl that I knew growing up who she was literally arguing with this white woman in her comments on Facebook about how, like, the white woman was trying to make an actual argument that Kenneth Walker, her boyfriend, should be charged with her murder because he shot at the police. And then I turn around and see Charles fucking Barkley get on TNT and basically echo those same exact sentiments. And it's just like, people, just follow me here for a second who want to place the blame on the boyfriend. Because I also saw Tommy Lawrence dumbass say the same thing. You do realize there's a reason why they dropped the charges against him, right? The reason why they dropped the charges against him is because they know that thanks to the no-knock warrant, he had no fucking idea who was running in his house. And he's a licensed gun owner, which when you're a licensed gun owner, that means I have the right to buzz a cap and whoever the fuck is running in my house. So you have a no-knock warrant. I don't know who you are. This permit that I have says that if there's an intruder, I have a right to defend myself. I don't know that you're the cops. That was the point of the no-knock warrant, which is the point of why they got rid of the no-knock warrant, because of shit like this. They got rid of the no-knock warrant, they dropped the charges against him, and then paid her family $12 million because they knew they fucked up. So for you, Charles fucking Barkley, to get on cable television and put the blame on her boyfriend when he was let go for a reason. So even when you get let go, you still get villainized. He got let go, his girlfriend is dead, but somehow it's still his fault. And then fucking Tommy Lauren, because I saw how she quickly switched her narrative, because first she tried to say what happens when you resist arrest. Then somebody kindly reminded her, bitch, she was asleep. And I don't say bitch because she's a woman. I'm saying bitch because she's an asshole. This could have been a man. It could have been a man. It could have been a dog. It could have been a cat. I know how this works, Randy. Somebody's going to take that and say, well, you're just calling the women a bitch. No, I would have. Charles Barkley's a bitch too.
Just block him. Yeah.
So, but anyway, when she realized that, like, no, that argument doesn't fly because she was literally in her fucking bed, that's when she switched to the boyfriend. It's just like, you guys don't know how to deviate from your own playbook. You don't know how to deviate from your own playbook. You just go on and with the same talking points, this person was a bad person. This person was resisting arrest, because you don't know what else to say behind that. But when in reality, Breonna Taylor was an EMT.
Right.
In her house, where her boyfriend, who's a legal gun owner, has no idea who's coming through that door. That's why he's free right now. So anybody trying to use him as a scapegoat, if they could have hemmed his ass up or anything, you don't think they would have? It's because they couldn't.
Right. But we are the only people that when we're murdered is when we are the ones on trial. Like, we know not a motherfucking thing about those cops. We don't know how many complaints there have been against them. We know nothing about their history. But when a Black person gets murdered, I mean, like, dead, we are gone from this earth, where people are mourning us, that we're just completely wiped out. They are putting us on trial and finding anything they could say to justify our murders. It just drives me crazy. I mean, we are murdered twice. Once, just the first time, and then again. And I am absolutely out fucking done. You know, and you talk about Charles Barkley. Let me tell you something. And this asshole Daniel.
He's been an enemy of us for a long time, people, if you didn't know.
Oh, I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, at all. I'm not surprised at all, but I'm so sick of the Black men who are coming and further doing the job of white supremacists. I am so sick of that shit. Like, that makes me angrier than the white supremacists, because I get that shit, right? Because you have some shit and you want to hold on to your shit. So I get it. You have been indoctrinated. You have grown up in this country, okay? But the black men who think that they have reached a level of success, or they're scrambling so hard, like Daniel Cameron, he thinks, after watching the way that they just did Herman Cain, didn't even recognize this jackass after he gave up his entire life to honoring them and to giving them and saying for them their entire doctrine. They gave him no respect. He's thinking that he's made it. He's thinking that and somehow he has overcome. And I can't think of one black man yet that really has overcome, but they still keep thinking they're going to be that one Negro who's going to make it.
You know,
and you'll sell out your whole race. Like, I hate him.
I was literally having this conversation with my wife earlier about Daniel Cameron, and it's what he doesn't seem to understand, right? If you look at what he's accomplished on paper, good for you, right?
Because he's kissing a lot of ass.
But in a situation like this now, you are now the face of injustice against your own people. You are you're the one that's going to take the brunt and the blame for all of this. All the people who are clapping behind you, like I hear Mitch McConnell was at his wedding and all this other shit. Mitch McConnell's not going to take no heat for this. None whatsoever. Your face is plastered all over this. So anytime we think of the injustice done against Breonna, we're going to think of you. We're not going to think of any of the people who invited you to the RNC. We don't know them. We know you. So now you're the face of all the injustice that was done to her. Are you prepared for that now? Because
I don't think he can.
These are positions that you can get voted out of.
I don't think he cares, though. I don't think that he gives a flying fuck. I think that he thinks that he has elevated himself and made it outside of something that we are in some way beneath him. You know, these black people, some of them think, you know, I just see things. I mean, trust me, I get them in my comments all the time. I had to block 2 yesterday that think that they're the lone Negro who has figured it out. And if we would just do A, B, C, and the third, we could get ourselves out of this trouble. And, you know, if you really think about it, da-da-da-da-da. And, you know, this is because they've made it to middle management. You know, they are that one Negro who's made it. And they don't even recognize that they're that one Negro who's made it. And for them to make it, they've had to sell out so much their actual souls to actually make it, and they're not gonna get it back. That's the thing. It's not.
But even that doesn't make sense to me. It's because, all right, once again, bless you.
Bless you.
Which?
Who's that?
I'm pretty sure that's Xavier, my second in charge. I'm pretty sure. But either way, it's like the thing that I never understood about that is, once again, I'm not gonna pretend like I'm, you know what I'm saying, I'm definitely, I'm nobody's Tyler Perry right now in the sense of I'm nobody's billionaire, right? But I have done okay for myself, right? And just 2 years ago, I get pulled over for a regular old traffic stop, which was initiated by the police, but that's a completely different story. First question he asked me is how many times I've been arrested. Bro, your status in life does not absolve you from other people's perception of you. So just because you have ascended to your little middle management position doesn't mean anybody's going to look at you. Ask that Harvard professor that was basically arrested for going into his own house.
Right.
Ask Oprah when she goes over to the Hermes store and they look at her like, yo, why the fuck are you trying to get in here? And Oprah got more money than all of them.
Ask Barack Obama. Ask Michelle Obama. I mean, there is no one who has been safe from it, but they still think that they have reached a higher level. And let me just say this, what makes me mad is that they do get to a certain level of success because they are, what I want to put a picture of him, what I want to write about is, he is the one black friend. When you have white people who come on your page and they're racist as hell and they say, I have a black friend. Yeah, Daniel Cameron. You know, it is Daniel Cameron, it is Charles Barkley. It is those people who really don't mess with black people. Like, do you have a Black friend who associates with other Black people, who identifies Black culturally, who has maybe a Black partner? I mean, like, they get the person, they get the Daniel Camerons and, like, you know, drag him around like Donald Trump, talk about his African American, and he's like the poster boy. And they really try to believe that this person speaks for all of us. Because of course we're monolithic. And if this one Black guy can get it, of course we all should get it.
And to loop back to something, you said before about the, because I've written about that a couple of times too, with the assassination of people's character, where they try to find all of the bad things to say about the victim. But it's like, all right, for example, everybody loves, i.e. hates, Candace Owens. And she basically went on a crusade about George Floyd and why we do not need to be honoring George Floyd because he was a terrible person. All right, George Floyd has a record. Great. You also do know that the cop that killed him had 18 fucking complaints against him, including other deaths besides George Floyd. We don't talk about that fact. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure he has more things on his record than George Floyd did.
Oh, absolutely.
So what are we talking,
but it's different about here? It's different with his death. Like someone said to me, well, Breonna was dating a former drug dealer or a drug dealer. We're going to start judging women on who they dated before?
No,
like, all of us are done.
More than that, I bet you whoever made that comment probably did cocaine in college. Shut the fuck up. Like,
he's probably still doing it now. Can we talk about Rush Limbaugh? He's a cokehead. Can we talk about Donald Trump Jr.? Have you seen him live lately? He is so coke. I mean, he is gone. Like, how people who love him ain't getting him to some sort of fancy rehab in Malibu, I don't know. Because that man, you can't even play it off. He's snorting hard.
Wait, let me put this out here, and I know there's gonna be people that don't like to hear this. For all the drug dealer this, drug dealer that, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, yo, listen to me. I've gone to multiple. Everybody watching this, I've gone to multiple predominantly white institutions, and I promise you, the most drugs I've ever seen done in my life came from white people.
Oh,
I promise you.
Oh, let me tell you something.
I promise you.
Without a doubt, hands down, you hang out.
It's coke parties. I've seen more coke at these predominantly white institutions than I've ever seen in the hood.
Ever. I mean, because we don't afford it. We can't roll like that, like they try to act like we do. You hang out with Black people. At best, you're gonna have somebody who's gonna roll a joint. Like that's what you're gonna get. You go to these white parties, there are areas of coke. Like, I mean, I have never seen, like you're saying, all my life. The drugs you see in the white environment, but for some reason for them it's different. For some reason when they, we're crackheads, they have a disease.
Even crazier than that. I remember one time in college, they had to shut down this frat house because they were mixing for their parties. They were mixing two different punches, one punch for men, one punch for women, and as you might imagine, they were spiking the ones that were going to the women. Now, Randy, I want you to ask me a question. Ask me if any of them got kicked out.
I don't need to ask a dumb question.
Ask me if any of them. They shut down the frat. Okay. Ask me if any of them got kicked out for drugging women. But where are the problems? Where are the problems? I also saw this thread. I saw this thread recently where this white woman, bless her heart, she literally chronicled pretty much every crime she's ever committed along the way.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, you saw that, right? She chronicled pretty much every crime she's ever done. And then, like, basically said, they're like, I'm here, I'm free, everything's cool. We call them mistakes, but I'm still here, able to move forward. Think about all the mistakes you've made, and then factor that into, if you have anything in your past as a Black person, they just try to blow that up as if you're some monster that needed to be put down. When Trayvon fucking died, the first thing they did was put up him smoking weed. I'm just like, man, listen, I was a responsible adult with a job and a kid still smoking weed. What are you saying to me?
In my school system, which is predominantly white, my kids' school system, which is predominantly white, I don't know what it is, but it's something like 73% of kids said they've smoked weed within the last month. Some higher drink. We have the second highest drug use of any county in the country. But when their kids go, they talk about rehab like we talk about ballet classes. Like we talk, like it is nothing. But they see it as a part of growing up, making mistakes. When our kids do it, it just flips suddenly, and it blows my mind, and how seamlessly it does it in their brains. Like they don't even get the hypocrisy of the things that they say.
Not like they don't understand. They don't understand it at all. And see, that right there is what made me feel like I didn't want to do it anymore. Because and to be honest, it's messed up. But I've done this before. Like at one point in time, like back in like from about 2012 to 2016, I didn't write anything. And the reason why is because once again it was the aftermath of Trayvon, and this guy wrote a comment on one of my posts that was longer than my post about why Trayvon deserved to die, right? And basically at this point, I was thinking to myself, I was like, what is the point of me doing this? And the reason why I said that is because a lot of times I feel like I'm preaching to the choir, where the people that get it. The people that understand, they understand. But then there's a faction of people that just refuse. They refuse. They will find any way to justify the wrongs done to us. Like even just very recently, where I wrote another post where I said I had a real question for the Blue Lives Matter delegation, where it was basically like, do you really believe cops are infallible? Because no matter what happens, you okay anything they do, but it doesn't make sense because you can still admit, or you can still believe cops are inherently good and say they fucked up with Tamir Rice. It's okay. Both things can happen, but you guys won't even do that. And then somebody leaves the comment saying it's like, no, but they're being like, no, of course we can do that, but they're just unfairly being villainized. I'm like, let me stop you right there, because you don't even do that. You don't even admit when there's clear violation. Like Tamir Rice was 12.
Well, let me just say this. Let me tell you why you do it. My TV just
died. 5 seconds,
I'm listening.
And 5 seconds, he was dead. 5 seconds on the scene, he was dead. But then you turn around and still find some way to justify why this had to happen to a 12-year-old kid.
Well, let me tell you a couple things. Some people don't have higher order thinking. So they think it has to be wrong or right. It's like they're on teams, right? And this is like this is where Trump really does well with those people. Like it has to be bad people or good people. But the reason why you do what you do is that even if you're preaching to the choir needs to hear other voices. Like this is what I realized. Like, because when I feel like just fuck it and give it up because you see the world like falling apart and it seems like it doesn't matter, I need to hear Tamika Mallory speak. Even though she's saying what I already believe, I need to know that I'm not the only person out there that believes it. I'm not alone. I need to sit here. Listen, we might have 2 people on Facebook listening to us right now. I don't know. But it helps me to hear you, right? Because it makes me feel like I'm in California, you in New York. We're not alone in recognizing that what the heck is going on. And so what I've been doing a lot of is James Baldwin has been keeping me whatever, because he was saying, sadly, I mean, he was saying the same stuff a while ago, but not that long ago. But it just makes me realize that there is something about giving voice to the way the voiceless feel. And there is something when you say what other people, when people are listening to you and say, that's right, and they're reading your post and saying, there's going to be some people who disagree with you. Fuck them. But the ones who hear you talk and you put words to it and you say what they can't say, or you're saying what they feel, it is a sense of therapy. I could tell you just for me, and I have to hope that is that for other people. And so that's why you do it. And just when we want to quit is when they need us the most, or when people need the voices the most. Cause like I'm playing, like I said, I have my people on repeat and they're saying how I feel. And I imagine how hard it must be, but I got to hear it. I got to feel like I'm not alone in this world. Cause most people, I do believe reasonable people feel like shit. Like, and they cannot be happy with what's going on. And there are some people that I do believe don't quite get it. And when we say something, they're like, okay, that does make sense. So we just got to keep on keeping on. I just believe we got to keep, and we owe it to the people who did. Like I've been watching every kind of damn documentary there is. I was watching Harry Belafonte. Have you watched that? I told you to watch his when he took over the Tonight Show for a week. He took over Johnny Carson's show for a week. And, they dogged him because Johnny Carson, he was a funny show with all this stuff. And he had on, he had on Martin Luther King. I mean, he went hard and, they hated him and he still did it. And what I keep telling myself is when they were in the moment, they didn't feel like they were making a difference. They didn't feel like, I'm sure they had to be like, what the fuck? Like what? And you're getting the hate. They weren't getting DMs like we do, but they were getting hate calls. And like we have to remember Martin Luther King was the most hated man in America when he was murdered. And not saying we're on that level, but we're doing our little piece, right? We're doing our little piece. And it's like a bunch of us doing our pieces. I just believe there's going to be some sort of change. And I just really believe that. Because just showing up. Just showing up. I'm telling you, therapy for me.
I mean, and I'll say that is helpful because it's because there have been various points where I felt like that. Where I'm just like, man.
Oh, I have never felt so hopeless.
Like, I'm like, man, fuck this. But no, you're right. You're absolutely right.
But that means you're doing something because you give a shit, right? We don't say it as much as we say it for other things. And let me say this, like even for me, like the disappointing thing for me as a Black woman, right, is it's just beautiful to see a Black man loving his Black woman and raising his Black family and protecting other Black women and giving a fuck about Breonna, right? Like, because when you see these, this AG who's selling them out and Charles Barkley who's selling, saying dumb shit, it is very deflating as a Black woman and you want to know you're protected. That's what I've been thinking a lot about is, white women always get to be the damsels in distress, right? Whether it be that we're watching TV, like we're always hearing about them missing or them kidnapped, they're always the ones who are damsels in distress, which statistically, they are the least kidnapped and the least murdered. I mean, we receive violent, get violently hurt and beaten and kidnapped and murdered more than they do, right? But our lives don't even matter for us to be shown on TV. Nancy Grace ain't looking for us. I mean, there's something that breaks your soul when I realize that if I were to get kidnapped, if I were to get killed, I wouldn't fucking be a news story. Right? I would not fucking even show up. But if my goddamn neighbor were to get, kidnapped and murdered, she would. My life does not matter as much as hers. That's a lot. So if for nothing else that you show up and say, no, I give a fuck about you Black women. I love a Black woman every day. Honey, that right there is therapy. Just you just showing up, like, thank you for that. Because some of these Black men, man, they just seem so lost. And don't get me wrong, it's not most of them. Because if they're on my page, if they're on Randy B, they are men who love Black women and they see us and they protect us. And thank you guys out there. I don't know if anyone's, watching right now. I can't see, but thank you for that. Because we need that shit. Like we need that shit because America is telling us, as it tells you brothers all the time, y'all don't matter. Your life doesn't matter. We are not going to protect you. If you die, you're going to be just a funeral for those folks. We're going to get, Breonna family, people talking about that. She got 12 million. That white woman got 20 million.
22.
20 million. They always get more money.
And I will always remember that story because I wrote about it right when it happened because some news outlet called her the most innocent victim of police brutality. And I remember I wrote about that because I was like, that fucking outlandish to say that, like, all right, so something that consistently happens to Black people, she gets to be the most innocent poster child of these type of acts, which I don't know why, like, I go off on these tangents too, because it reminded me of, once again, Candace Owens, because, recently Candace Owens and Cardi B got into a fucking tit for tat with each other, which that shit was preposterous. But one of Candace Owens' rebuttals to Cardi B was, well, you're scared of getting killed by the cops, or are you scared of your husband because statistically he's more likely to do something to you than you being killed by the police? And it's just like, once again, people are just missing the fucking point. You know what? You know what, Candace? Check this out. You're more likely to get into a car crash than a plane crash. Does that mean we don't fortify planes so they don't fall out of the fucking sky? This is not about statistics. This is about, or actually it is about statistics in the sense that if something were to happen thanks to the police, there is a 1% chance they're going to be convicted of anything. That is what we're upset about, the lack of accountability. The lack of accountability, because like I've said this on our shows before, if I go outside and commit a crime, I promise you, LC's going to jail. I promise you.
Yeah, even before, yeah.
I promise you. I don't got not a spot on my record, but guess what? They're going to find a nice little jail cell to put me in. That is the issue we have here, is the lack of accountability, which is why they keep on happening, because there is no retribution for any of the crimes committed against us. That is the point. That is the point. If there's anybody else watching this, you don't know what the fuck that means. That is what Black Lives Matter means, is that, hey, when you do something wrong, we would like you to get in trouble for it. Right. Because if you did get in trouble, guess what will probably decrease? The amount of incidents happen. Guess what? Why, when they tell you don't put your hand on the fire as a kid, you know why? Because it burns. If the fire didn't burn, then people would be putting their hands all over it. You know why they do it once and then don't do it again? Because that shit hurt. It hurt. If there was any sort of consequence, matter of fact, I guarantee you, most of this shit might not. I'm not going to point it to just one incident, because we can go back in history and pick any number of incidents. But like when we started filming shit, you go back to Rodney King. If them cops got in trouble, I bet you from Rodney King on, there would have been a lot less deaths. They beat that man's
absolutely.
They beat that man's ass for like how many minutes on camera? And they all went home.
And they all went home.
Yeah. You trying to tell me it's just like, yo, like, because the thing is, once again, people's like, well, what did he do before the video? Well, let me tell you what he did during the video. He got his ass beat by 4 people. By 4 people.
He was on the ground and they were still beating him.
On the ground. And the thing, here's the fucked up part too, because once again, this is the great and terrible thing of being married to a lawyer. Because she learned about that case in school. And she said that the video that they used in trial was more doctored than the video that we saw.
Yes.
So, once again, working for the cops and the system, we're not even going to show you the full ass whooping. We're going to show you pieces of the ass whooping, and then they edited it kind of right where he kept on trying to get up to make it look like, hey, look at him, he's resisting. I'm like, no, bitch, I don't want to stay on the ground getting stomped and hit with fucking... I'm trying to
survive, right.
And that's the point. It's always been about accountability. That's literally what it's always been about. And it never the accountability never happens. And that is what we're pissed off about. Of course, you're more than likely to get killed by somebody. Like, you go across any race, you're more likely to get killed by somebody within your own race, because most likely there's probably your friend or your family member. But that's not what we're talking about here. Stop bringing up auxiliary shit when we're talking about this. We're talking about, hey, when you do something wrong as a police officer, you should be punished. And they are never punished. Not only are they never punished, bringing it back to Breonna Taylor, there was an internal email, which God bless whoever's leaking all this shit, but there was an internal email where like literally one of the cops said, the good guys are always being demoralized and the criminals are being canonized. Who was the criminal? I know you're not talking about Breonna. Who was the criminal?
But yes, they are. But they are, because that's why they get away with so much, because most of the law, it seems like, are written that if you feel a threat or at all, then you can, whatever. And so they see us as criminals. That's the thing.
Maybe this is just me having too much of a connection to the English language. But I used to think that a criminal meant you had to have committed crimes.
But for some people, our skin color is a crime. They see us as criminals from the minute. It's like we were talking about at what age do I stop being cute when we're talking about little kids walk around and white people are like, oh, you're so cute. And it's like, what age do I start to look dangerous to you? Right.
By the way, I think it's 9, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it just changes for them. And so they see when, you as a criminal, regardless, and that's why people are stopped. You have people who work for PG&E, the cable companies and stuff like that being stopped because even with their uniforms on, they are so blinded by bias that they see a criminal. I'm sorry, am I hollering?
No, you're good. It's I don't know. It's like, but all of this is like I'm saying, it's a mixture between kind of feeling disillusioned and then just being incredibly, incredibly angry. Like just
angrier than I've ever been.
And back to how we started it off, it's the fact that that's what you decided to charge him with out of everything, out of literally everything. You charged him for the thing that doesn't directly relate to the dead person.
But another thing that makes me angry is the extent to which they will go to protect these officers. Like they have this hero complex about them, because this is the thing. Almost any private corporation, anybody else, if there was, they wouldn't let the whole thing fall just to protect somebody else. So just logically, right? Already in Kentucky, they've been, marching and protesting for how many weeks now? I mean, months now, and they knew that they was going to get worse when they announced this. So why the fact that they wouldn't say, look, one of y'all gonna have to catch some charges, but for some real charges for murdering Breonna, because we can't afford to protect you to the extent, because this city's gonna burn. I mean, the entire police building was set afire yesterday. That they're willing to burn down the thing just to protect these guys is what blows my mind. So, because what protesting is like, if you won't listen to us, if we go all the routes trying to get justice done, we try to go and get justice done in the traditional ways. If you won't listen to us, let us make it where it's inconvenient, where you're forced to listen to us, where your buildings are, where you can't go down your streets because we're walking down them or whatever. And they don't care. They're still going to protect those police officers. They don't care. Like to that,
not only are they going to take the police officers are going to protect the militia people, like they did with Kyle Rittenhouse, who just
Oh, did you see his mom today got a standing ovation? The mom attended some sort of, dignitaries, like dignitary. Yep. And she got the mom got a standing ovation. They think she's raised a hero. Yeah. Mm-hmm. She got a standing ovation. Drove her son across state lines to kill people. Now that's a hero. Standing ovation. Check, Rittenhouse, whatever her name is.
All right, so here's something that's gonna piss a lot of people off. Because it directly relates to Kyle Rittenhouse. There was a Iranian wrestler recently who was murdered by the government. He was protesting. And they basically, if I'm reading this right, and of course somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, but they said that he killed a couple of people or something like that. But most of the people who knew him were like, this guy had nothing to do with what they were talking about. And they basically just, killed this man. They lashed him first and then hung him, right? Which I didn't even know we're still doing that shit in 2020, right? But before his execution, I guess I'm a big MMA fan. So like I watch things like the UFC, and Dana White, who's the president of or the owner of the UFC, is a big Trump fan, and Trump is a big fan of him. So I guess that he went to Trump and said, hey, can you lobby with Iran on behalf of this wrestler? Iran said, fuck you guys, we're going to kill this guy anyway. And then on Twitter, Trump comes out and says, this guy was killed for nothing else but protesting the government.
Oh, God.
Right. right. And then
I got to get some.
I saw a lot of people commenting saying, and then people are out here saying America's so bad. People are actually in other places dying for protesting. And I was like, let's loop all of this back around right now. First off, your president literally wrote on Twitter he was just protesting when they literally villainized every fucking protester in this country. But then on top of that, you have people responding to that saying, no, people are actually dying elsewhere. Kyle Rittenhouse killed 2 people.
Right.
Like, are you guys that far gone?
Yes.
That like Kyle Rittenhouse, the 17-year-old boy, Super Mega Man, is literally responsible for 2 deaths and a 3rd injured person. What happened to that wrestler was atrocious. I'm not taking anything away from that man's death. Like, that's crazy. Like, especially if he really didn't do what they accused him of, that is one of the worst possible ways somebody could go. But to then turn around and use that as an example, see, and here's another thing. Because I see that sentiment a lot when you see people criticizing people who say anything negative about America. They say just like, this America's the best place in the world. Like, why don't you go somewhere else over there where you don't see freedom? I'm like, yo, listen, just because America happens to be better than other places doesn't mean America can't improve.
Right.
I don't, what logic does that, okay, so America doesn't lash people and then hang them.
Right. that doesn't mean that a 17-year-old should be allowed to just jollily kill two people in the streets and then go home. He went home with his mother. And he's a hero to a lot of people, and his mom's definitely a hero. They think that she's done a good job raising her child. Now, let my child get found with some weed, you know, they're gonna say something's wrong with me. But her child, who she drove across state lines with a semi-automatic, you know, and shot three people.
You're like, I can't even picture an image of me back in when I was 17 driving in my mom's Toyota with a rifle in my hand, like, yeah, Mom, I'm going.
Let's hit this.
I'm going to this gas station over here to go protect with this rifle. I can't imagine riding in the car with my mom with the rifle. Like, she gonna drive me to the action? Like, what? I half the time I really feel like America is just the biggest version of the Twilight Zone. Like, I feel like I don't know
right now. But it is right now. I do think that, I don't know if it's the worst it's ever been, but it's the worst it's been in my lifetime. You know, so that's why we just got to keep on walking.
No, but you know why you feel that way. Of course, America's been worse. Of course, right? But here's the thing: every other stage of America, it was pretty much cut and dry what people were trying to do. When we were slaves, fuck it, they're slaves. They're 3/5 of people. Da da da. Segregation, no. Color, go drink over there, right? Everybody understood where they fit into this puzzle. We are now in a time where people just willfully ignore the obvious. And that's the most frustrating part for me about all of it. It's the fact that, like, you can see something very clearly and then still come to some other conclusion other than what was directly in front of your face. Like, when
they don't want to see it, though. I mean,
when that cop killed Walter Scott. Walter Scott was on video running away. The cop shot him in the back, walked up to him, and calmly dropped the taser next to his dead body. Got on a stand and said, you know, my memory of this situation is different than what's clearly on this video. And his first trial was a hung jury.
Yeah. So
this man admitted under oath, what I said happened does not match the film.
Right.
And they still found, I think it was like one woman who said, yeah, let's let him go. So even when things are that clear, like, once again, we talked about this woman beforehand. I can't remember her name, but she was scheduled to speak at the RNC, who, like, when she talked about her black son is more predisposed to getting pulled up. But She literally had a friend who said I'm racist. And then she still came out and said, no, they're not racist. No, they said they're racist. They said they're racist. What else do you do? If I'm saying, like, yeah, man, like, you know what I'm saying, I kicked that person's car. And then my wife is just like, he didn't kick that car. But I said I kicked the car. Like, how are you arguing against something I said about me?
It reminds me of when my friend, a guy I used to work with, he's a good friend of mine, older than me. He says he and his wife were having some issues, and he was supposed to be out of town on business, but he really was in town with another woman.
Doing wrong. Go ahead. Yeah.
He doing wrong. And she happened to see him driving, right? And he said to her, are you going to believe me or your lying eyes? And she believed him. And I was like,
it doesn't even work. It doesn't even work in movies. Huh? That doesn't even work in movies, man. Come on.
It really worked for him. And, but people are slated to believe what they want to believe. That's what bias is. People want to believe what they want to believe. I don't know. So I'm trying to tell people, I want to give people something to hold on to, because I know everybody's feeling kind of like crap, right? So we're about to quit. No. So I don't know, we ain't got no advice for y'all. No. So, I mean, if you had to say to people, like, I think it's actually good for people to know that we all kind of, I mean, I don't know about you guys. Like I said, I've had a 48-hour headache now that just won't go away. But if I could give people some advice, one thing I would say is, I try to think about the things I can't control, because there's so much to me I feel like is out of my control. Like most things are out of my control, and this country just seems insane. But I can control how I make the people around me feel. Like, and I'm really trying to like give big love to Black people, particularly Black women. Like, and recognize, it's funny because there's all these, they always talk about Black women have nasty attitudes and Black women are hard and all this kind of stuff. And it's always interesting to me, because I want to say to Black men sometimes, y'all know we're living in the same world and facing the same battles as you every day. And so I don't even have the luxury to be the soft damsel in distress, because America didn't set me up to be that person. I was never even designed to be able to have the luxury to be that person. But understand that underneath, I still want to be protected and loved, right? Just as much as the world and the media sets up white women to be in the fairy tales and things. And so I just wish that they could see through, and see, yes, we are the ones out there battling with you and for you, our Black men. But also we need to be loved too, because the world is not loving us. They clearly do not see us and protect us. So what I would ask is that everybody just like love the Black community, love on each other harder, not just as a community, but like one-on-one, like just one-on-one, be just like a little softer with each other. I know that sounds corny as hell, but I'm like, that's one thing that we can actually do. Because as it tells our Black men all the time, like I said, it told Black women 2 days ago that y'all just don't matter. I mean, that's something, that's a real hit to feel like, I'm busting my butt down here and I'm doing things for this country, right? We are giving and providing to this country as we always have, whether it be that we're nursing and raising these our white slave masters' children, right? Or we're taking care of things during times of war. Or, I mean, Black women are like, our shoulders are so incredibly strong and we just keep it going. I mean, I just love it.
Black women were working in this country before white women got the right to work.
Got the right to vote. And so it's like white women come to us with this feminist movement, always wanting us to be arm in arm, but where the fuck are these white women when it comes to our women not being protected and our sons and fathers being shot? Like, I want you with me all the time.
There are comments saying the boyfriend should be charged for murder. That's what they
exactly. And I want the Black men
voting for Trump.
and I want the Black, 53% vote for Trump. And I want the Black men, like, I really would ask you to be particularly tender and think about who you can call, reach out to, love, hug up on. pick a damn flower for, give a back massage to, something, just Black woman, and just say, like, I see you. Like, I got some text yesterday from my brothers, like Nicholas, the guy from the president, the Tuskegee chapter, Atlanta chapter, and he was like, I just want you to know I see you, I love you, Black sister. And I was like, I mean, it just meant so much to me to get that text. I think we need some like love, to love on each other this weekend. And then for people like LC that write and talk to us, just keep on keeping on, because it doesn't feel like it, but we need those voices. We need people. I need to know that you're as angry about one of my sisters being murdered as I am. That right there is therapy, right? Because I don't want it to be Daniel Cameron, the only person's face that we see. Because then I will be in the loony bin. I mean, I really will go crazy.
And the last thing about that too is like, it's necessary because Daniel Cameron and I are the same age. So
you look a lot younger. Ass kissing, but we wearing him out.
So we're on the opposite ends of this spectrum here, and it's just like, we could all come up in this country and then look at things just so drastically different, and it's
he wants something different, and what the sad part is though is that the white news media, which is the media, will elevate him. They will elevate the Charles Barkley. It's the reason Charles Barkley has gotten to where he is. And typically the men that reach certain levels is because they really don't mess with us, right? They will elevate those people, right? And so, what my hope is that in my lifetime, we elevate the voices like you that are more representative of Black people and Black men. Not just the voices that make white people feel more comfortable about Black people, but the voices that are and Black people. So just keep on keeping on.
I'll try.
Yeah, please, we need you.
I'll try.
Well, relax this weekend.
I'll try. Yeah. We gotta get some family time in. So we're gonna be all right.
We're gonna be all right. And thank you for taking the time. I know it's tough. Trust me, I know.
Of course. Until next time, people.
Until the next time.
Peace.
Be safe. Bye-bye.